Hey guys, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be putting on our removable foundation pieces. Whenever you guys order this online, what you'll be getting in your kit is the actual foundation piece itself. You guys are going to be getting your anchor screws, which are used to put the foundation pieces into or screw into the studs. You guys will also be getting your drywall anchors, which are used in case we don't have a stud to screw into. We're also going to be getting our electrical tape used to wrap around any outlets. In this example, we do have an outlet here. And then some of the items that you may need that are not included in your kit. You guys may need a pencil or a marker. You guys may need a screwdriver. You guys may need a tape measure. And then you also may need a tin snips in order to cut the foundation pieces if needed. So anytime that we're working around electrical outlets, you always want to make sure that we shut off the electricity at the breaker box, thinking safety first. So after we've done that, what we're actually going to do, and we already did it here, is we're going to mark off where our studs are at. And a rule of thumb is anytime that you have an electrical box, the stud is usually going to be either to the right or to the left, so it just helps you out a little bit. But after you do that, you're going to go ahead and mark them. Standard studs are 16 inches apart from each other on center. So after you mark those, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually remove the electrical outlet cover and the electrical outlets themselves from the box. So the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is actually remove the receptacle outlets from the box itself. After the receptacle is removed from the box, we're going to use the electrical tape in order to wrap around the outlet in order to cover any of the conductive parts that we don't want to come in contact with our metal foundation. So the next thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to actually have to cut around cut on our foundation pieces to cut around the electrical outlet and to make sure that this piece fits snugly onto the drywall in the back, and so that way it lines up with our studs as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a couple measurements and then basically put it onto the foundation piece and then cut that out using our tin snips. So we've gone ahead, made our measurements, and then we put our markings on the foundation piece. So now we're going to go ahead and use our tin snips in order to make the appropriate cuts. Now, in order to cut out a square from the inside of the foundation, one thing that we suggest that you do is at all of the four corners, or any corner that you guys need to cut in order to create the square, we suggest that you guys drill a small hole at the four corners and then go ahead and actually use your tin snips in order to cut from one hole to the next, so that way you can easily cut out the square. So after you're done cutting the foundation piece, you always want to place it against the backsplash where you guys are going to be applying it to, and just make sure that it fits correctly so that the hole's cut correctly, it lines up with the studs, and it looks like it does. So the next step is to go ahead and use the screws to apply the foundation piece into the drywall and into the stud as well, so that way it holds firmly. So now what we have is we have a piece of foundation that needs to be put in that we have to make sure that we cut to size. And so what we've done is we've went ahead and we've done that already. And now what we're going to do is we're going to drill 3 holes of our own on the side, so that way we can make sure not only the left side is fastened to the back of the wall, but as well as the right hand side. Now there's a stud over here on the right side and the left side, so all we're going to have to do is use our regular screws in order to fasten that to the wall. So now with the last part of our foundation piece that has to go on, we're going to do the same thing that we did on the right hand side, where we had to cut it to size, and then we had to drill 3 holes of our own on the opposite side since we had to cut off one end. But the only issue that we have is that there's not a stud over here on the left hand side. So what we did was, where we drilled the 3 holes, we put these markers on the wall to kind of line up with the 2, and then this is where our drywall anchor screws are going to come into play. So these are self-drilling, so all you have to do is you have to put it on your screwdriver. Make sure you find the place that we're going to go ahead and line up with these screws, and you're going to drill this into the wall so that way it's flush, making sure not to screw too far in because you don't want to strip out the drywall. So now after we have the drywall anchors set, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that they line up with the holes that we've drilled previously in the foundation sheets. And it looks like everything lines up, we're good to go. So then we're just going to go ahead and take our regular screws and go ahead and fasten this to the wall. So after all the foundation sheets have been securely fastened to the wall, now we can go ahead and put on our magnetic backsplash tile. One thing that you're going to need probably is a tape measure and then a utility knife in order to cut the backsplash, the magnetic part. Depending on what type of backsplash that you have, you may need a wet saw. For this example, we do not. So the one thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you're going to get your measurements so that way you can cut the backsplash tile itself appropriately to fit around any areas that you need to cut. So in this example, we're going to have to cut around the electrical outlets again. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some measurements, put them onto our backsplash tile, cut them out, and then see if it fits correctly or not. So after we put our backsplash tile on, it looks like it fits good. The thing that you want to make sure that you take care of is anytime that you're putting the electrical outlets back into the electrical box itself, is you want to make sure that they sit flush with the front of the backsplash itself, because now your wall is going to come out a little bit further. So you just want to make sure that you keep that in mind. But everything looks good, so we're going to keep right on going. So after we're done putting all the magnetic backsplash tiles on, and it actually looks really, really good right now, is we have to put the electrical outlets back inside the box and then put the cover back on. Then we're finished. As you can see, we're all finished up here today. We have our magnetic backsplash tiles on and they look great. So we just want to thank you guys for joining us today.